Hi folks, and Céad Míle Fáilte. These are the 10 best tips for the new riders out there. Let's go. In no particular order, but coming at number 10 is probably one of the most important concepts that you have to have as a new rider, which is countersteering. I cannot stress enough how important this concept is for you to kind of wrap your head around it and make sure that you actively know what you're doing. I'm not going to get into all the details about the physics and everything and the counterbalancing and all that kind of jazz, but I want to understand the main concept about countersteering. Countersteering is because it feels counterintuitive, right, to do this. So I don't know if you heard it before, but basically on a motorcycle, if you want to turn left, you have to actually turn your wheel right. And let me explain what this means, right? Your bike wants to stay upright. With the gyroscopic forces and all that kind of jazz, the bike wants to stay upright. You've probably seen videos, people falling off the bike and the bike just going straight. That's because it has that gyroscopic force that will keep the bike going straight. If you're accelerating or anything like that, and you try to lean the bike with your body, it's not going to be as easy because you have that bike that wants to keep you upright. So what you do is you initiate a countersteer to make the bike lean over. The problem here is when I see countersteering a lot of times, they focus on this concept of turn right to go left, right? But they don't explain the whole situation and the whole process of how the countersteering actually works. So let me show you very quickly. The bike is standing upright, and if I turn the bars to the right, you see how the bike wants to go left, right? So again, with my left hand, I push the bars forward, and the bike wants to lean to the left. So eventually you're leaning, and the bike will start going towards the left. Now, the problem is that a lot of people just say that, oh, countersteering and that's it. Yeah, but it's not the whole thing. So you countersteer to offset the balance of the bike, to break that, momentum of the bike going forward, and then you turn to the way you want to go, right? So this is where people sometimes get it wrong, right? Because they think it's just pushing the bike to make a turn and then you keep turning. No, now the wheel is pointing that. The countersteering is only to offset the balance of the bike. So again, let me show you. Push the bars. You see how the bike wants to go that way already. So now that the bike is leaned over, then we turn into the corner, right? And we're going to see about the whole body balance and everything, right, in a few minutes. But basically that is the main concept. Is something that I want you to make sure that you understand and you do actively, right? So when you get into a corner, countersteering, and then you turn. It's immediate. It will always do it. And you can lean your bike by just pushing and putting all your weight and leaning the bike, but it's going to cost you a lot of time, a lot of effort, and especially on an emergency situation, you don't have the time to do all that, where if you just counterbalance and then turn, it's much, much quicker, and that's exactly what the bike wants to do. It's just basically physics, right? Have that in mind. Do a bit more research about countersteering. It's a very interesting phenomenon, but you want to make sure that you are applying countersteering when you're riding and getting into a corner. Next one at number 9 is body position. And here there's a few conflicting information that folks might give you, where I get the intentions, but I want to break it down for you so you have the whole story, right? So first of all, obviously you want to be on a natural, relaxed position. Now, key thing is to have your hand and arm straight. You don't want to be riding like this, scooter style, that's not good. And you don't want to be, with your shoulders in your head or your ears. Natural position, but this has to be straight, right? Because that will give you the control. And again, if you think about countersteering, again, very important, like we just mentioned, having the ability to push the bars forwards and backwards. It's never down, it's never nothing like that, it's just forwards and backwards. And again, I'm showing all this on a GS because that's my bike, but these same concepts apply to any bike. If you ride a naked bike, a sports bike, or a cruiser, it doesn't matter, the concepts are exactly the same. Your body position might change slightly, but your wrist and arm have to be always straight. always straight. Here is the concept that I hear all the time that I'm not too convinced, and the concept is grab the bike with your legs. And I don't think that is true, but I get what they say that, because if they get you to focus on grabbing the bike with your legs, you'll release the tension on your arms, right? When you're a new rider and you start going out, it feels pretty scary, right? You're on a motorbike, they go pretty fast, they go very quickly, right? So if you're grabbing the handlebars for dear life, you're basically impairing the bike of maneuvering left and right and being, able to do what the bike has to do. But you don't have to grab your bike with your legs either, right? I don't want you to be squishing the bike with your legs. Technically, you want to be nice and relaxed on the bikes, right? No pressure on the bars, no pressure on your body. Let the bike do whatever it wants to do. Let's say if you grab a little bit of a patch of gravel, something like that, and the bike, it's a little bit offset, like I mentioned before on the countersteering, the bike wants to keep going forward, right? The bike wants to be straight and upright. If you're grabbing the bike for dear life with your legs or your hands, that offset might actually get the bike out of balance. If you're relaxed, it will be a little bit scary the first time it happens, right? The bike might move a little bit there, but if you're nice and relaxed, the bike will just keep going straight, no problem whatsoever. And even on a corner, right? If you are relaxed, the bike might jolt a little bit, but most likely, if you're going to have any issues, it's because you are grabbing the bars or you are too tight with the bike. Again, body position, very important. Don't do the grip of death on the bars. You want to grab the bars, obviously, right? But be nice and relaxed. While we're in the topic of body position, right? Let's touch briefly on how your body should look like when you're taking a corner. We talk about, countersteering, and then off you go, right? And you see how naturally I'm kind of dipping down, right? Because that's exactly what you need to do. I want your head to be off the center line, and the rule is head, body, bike. So let me explain. So once you're riding, now I'm the center, right, looking forward. I initiate the countersteering, right? My head is already almost looking at the mirror now, and then my body, right? And then the bike goes leaning. And why do we do that? Because when you lean, you get the head out of the center line, it will help you out with the countersteering, right? So if I do this, right, that's my countersteering naturally. And then I go in, and I don't mean this for you to be hanging your knee and, MotoGP style. No, it's just a little bit, so you help the whole movement and it's a little bit more natural. So I get my head out of the center line, pushing the bar to the right, so the bike will lean left. And now I'm on the corner, right? And then turning the bars to the corner. This is about it. This is all you need, right? Sometimes it might not be even that much. But the whole theory behind moving your head out of the center line and putting your body first and then last your bike is because if you're all straight and you try to do this, right, all stiff, first of all, countersteering is going to be not easy because you're all stiff, your body doesn't move. Then if you put your body and your head first, you're already putting a little bit of pressure there and your bike is not as lean, right? So effectively, by putting your weight and the head and the body out, you reduce the amount of lean angle that your bike has to make, right? And you might say, oh, but I want to lean the bike, I want to look cool. Forget about all that. You want to be as safe as possible. Think about every other component on your bike, right? Your suspension is designed to work up and down, right? So if your bike is leaning, way too much, it's not going to work as good. So if you're on a corner and you're going fast and there's a couple of potholes or whatever, and your suspension is all the way down, it's not going to react the same way as it is, upright. Obviously, I don't mean the bike to be like 90 degrees up, but if you put your body there and you only have to lean your bike 20 degrees, 30 degrees, something like that, right? You can take a corner actually quite fast and be a lot safer. And if the corner is actually way sharper than you actually imagine, then you still have all that lean on the bike itself, on the tires, to make that corner. Where if you put all the bike first and you're stiff in the middle, that's it, you run out of corner, right? You cannot lean the bike anymore. And if then you try to put your body into it, it's too late, right? You have to do, again, head, body, bike, right? And the whole movement will be countersteering, head, boom, and now we're turning, right? And again, I'm exaggerating the movement, right? But that is what you need to practice. I hope that concept makes sense. Coming at number 8, very important, the control of your clutch and your brake. Only use 2 fingers, 1 finger if you can, depending on your strength. It's very rare that on your motorcycle you have to press the whole clutch all the way in. Well, obviously you can't have anything else, but normally that will be enough, right? To put the bike in gear and to let the clutch go. Learn, obviously, your biting point on both your clutch and your brake. I've seen folks doing something like that with 3 fingers, you know, using the other 2. I don't like that. For me, preferred style is, 2 fingers or 1 finger. That has also more benefits. Let me show you. In an emergency braking situation, if you're grabbing your handlebar, you get scared and you do this, you're done. It doesn't matter how much ABS your bike has, you are probably going to skid your front tire. Now, if you have 2 fingers, right, that initial response is not going to be as rapid, right? Or even if you have 1 finger on your brake all the time, that initial response is not going to be as brutal, right? It's going to be as hard. Modern bikes, they have so powerful brakes that if you start squeezing the brake, not having that reaction of no fingers and then all the fingers because you got scared and probably make you skid or something like that. Where if you have one finger on the brake all the time, and by the time you get scared, that initial push is not going to be as bad because all the braking happens after the initial boom, right? After the initial shock. So that's another reason to have only 1 finger or 2 on your brake at all times. As important as keeping 1 finger on your brake is the position of your feet, right? Notice that I'm on the ball of my feet there, and that's the position that I should always be keeping. The problem is when you have your feet there, or even worse, the duck feet when it's pointing out. As you can see, obviously now I'm standing on the side stand, right? So I won't be able to touch. But when you start leaning your bike, eventually you will touch your boot on the ground. And if you're going 50 kilometers an hour that way, going forward, the floor is going 50 kilometers an hour backwards, right? So think about that. Whenever you have your feet out, and even worse, the duck feet pointing outwards, if you lean your bike and your boot catches the floor, your feet is going to go 50 kilometers an hour backwards. That is an ouchie. So always stay on the ball of your feet, up on the pegs, and then when you need to shift your gears up and down, boom, and you go back. Takes 2 seconds. Look at any professional rider. That's how they are all the time. I don't want you to be doing this, and if you're going to be here, at least be as tucked in as possible. Never go with the duck feet. At number 7, chicken strips. It's a funny topic. I don't know if it is as popular now these days, but when I started riding, the whole thing with the chicken strips, every time you stop, they will all look at the tires. Oh, see how your chicken strips are looking and everything, right? If you're not familiar with the term, the chicken strips is the unused, patch of your tire, right? Because you're not leaning your bike enough, basically, and you're not wearing out the last bit of tire on your side. I'm here to tell you, love your chicken strip, cherish them, because that means that you're either learning or you're actually having the correct body position, leaning angles, etc., right, to ride on the street. If you're on a track day, sure, you can chase your chicken strips and see if you can wear them out. Or if you're a very experienced rider, right, maybe. Here in Ireland, I can tell you, there's not too many places out in the public road where you can actually go out and get to a certain speed where you can lean that hard, unless you're having the incorrect body position, right, and you're all stiff in the center line and you're just leaning your bike, which is extremely dangerous. Unless you're riding in Mondelo, which is the track here in Ireland, there's no way that you can safely get rid of your chicken strips. Again, love your chicken strips. It means that you're doing things well, you're doing things properly, especially, again, if you're watching this video and you're a new rider, do not focus on the chicken strips, do not fall for the peer pressure, and you have a friend that, obviously, a little bit of banter with the lads, it's fine, but if you have somebody that is putting pressure on you to get rid of the chicken strip, get rid of that friend. That is not your friend. So have that in mind. Coming at number 6 is defensive riding, which means be very aware of what other vehicles are doing, how they're behaving, and react accordingly of what you're seeing, right? If you're behind a car and you see that car, going back and forth, left and right, not keeping a lane or whatever, right? That driver is most likely distracted, probably the phone. Now these days, unfortunately, everybody's on the phone. So make sure that if you see that, don't go overtaken, or if you overtake, make sure that it's absolutely safe, right? And you take a lot of distance. Otherwise, just leave them go, right? Keep a lot of distance from a car like that, or a bike, or whatever the case might be. Come into an intersection, for example, right, when you have a car approaching, either stop or that is slowing down to get across the road or to merge into your road. Always look at the wheels, right, instead of the faces. A lot of people actually look at the driver on the car, right, and see if they're looking at them. Sometimes they might be looking at the general direction of where you are, but they might not even recognize that you're there, right? Unfortunately, bikes is not what the brains of the people are looking for. They're looking at two lights or a big car. Make sure that you look at the wheels, because if that wheel starts moving, you'll definitely see that, right? And that will give you the telltales that you have to take an evasive maneuver or slow down, whatever you have to do at that moment, right? To avoid a crash, basically. Again, be very aware and be very defensive on your riding. Assume that everybody is out to catch you, although they are not, right? And we'll get to that in a second. I personally, if I see somebody that is completely distracted, I either take a turn and leave the road and go for something else, or if it is safe to do so, obviously, I try to overtake him and leave them behind me and don't worry about it. Again, defensive riding is absolutely important. It's for your own safety. It don't care about the other vehicles, right? You're not going to change their driving. You can only be responsible for what you are doing. So defensive riding, absolutely important, and have that in mind. So now that we talked about defensive riding, at number 5 is do not road rage, right? Especially a couple of years back where there was this trend in social media, YouTube, whatever, right? Of, everybody had a GoPro on their helmet and they were not looking for trouble, but, almost getting there just to say, oh, you're going to YouTube and upload the video and try to go viral, right? But those folks, a lot of times actually got them into big accidents and big crashes. You can still see that today. If you look at channels like Moto Madness or stuff like that, right? You see folks getting into accidents. Yes, the car or the other vehicle done something wrong, but the actual crash was caused by the rider. Why? Because instead of doing the evasive maneuver, no, they spent time honking the horn, swearing, and revving the bike or whatever, right? Instead of actually taking action. And by the time they want to take action, and because they spent all those 2-3 seconds honking or revving the bike or screaming, or you're going on YouTube, whatever, right? Then that's it. You crashed, right? So do not road rage. Do not do it. It's not worth it. You can get into a lot of trouble. Be defensive, right, when you're riding, and do not road rage. Again, I'll say it again, it's very important. So instead of honking the horn or revving the bike, just make that evasive maneuver, get away from the issue, get away from the car, whatever you have to do, and then go home, go safe. Are you going to be pissed? 100%. Are you going to be mad? 100%. And use your safe bubble to swear and this and that. Do not engage with the other person, right? 90% of the time, they're not even aware, right? And I know sometimes people will apologize, but if you engage in rage, you're probably only going to get things worse. And again, it is that split second that you have to get yourself into safety, that if you spend it road raging, and I'm repeating myself here, but it's very important, make sure that you get yourself into that safe place first and then figure things out. So hopefully that makes sense, and you take this advice because it is very important. At number 4, one that is normally underappreciated, which is slow maneuver practice. If you can control your bike on a slow parking lot situation, right? Practice your U-turns, braking, clutch control, using 2 fingers, 1 finger, whatever works for you. If you can control your bike on very slow movement, then you do have a lot of control of your bike, right? So if you do a U-turn or that kind of maneuver at very slow speeds, that is where you have that feeling of, oh, if I slow down 1 kilometer an hour more, the bike will just fall over, right? Or having that clutch control on a bit of a hill stuff like that, right? Or braking, making sure that you have the correct pressure on your brake, where if you, for example, going very slow at like walking speeds, having that control of the clutch and the brake, dragging the brakes, learning to drag the brake, right? Learning the bite point of your clutch, all that kind of stuff is going to help you immensely to slow down on a corner, to control your bike in traffic, all that kind of jazz. That type of practice might be boring, it's not exciting. I know you can't get a very cool picture for Instagram or video for TikTok, but that is going to give you a lot of control, that when you're riding the bike at higher speeds, is going to give you that much confidence. You know that feeling of the bike sinking in, right? Because you do need a little bit of momentum to make a bike turn around on a U-turn. So doing that kind of maneuvers, right, and making sure that you have that practice. Do not underestimate practicing slow speeds. Some might sound boring, but it's going to make you a pro in no time. Tip number 3 is how to take a corner, right? And we're talking about the most efficient way possible, the racing line, if you will, right? But it's also the safest way that you can take a corner. So let me explain to you what you need to do. As you approach a corner, obviously now this is a right-hand corner. You want to be coming into the corner on the outside, going to the inside, and then exiting the corner on the outside again, right? So that is the racing line. That is what every racer does, in a car, motorcycle, it doesn't matter. Outside, inside, and outside again. So if you're running on the road, you just move to in this case, the left-hand side of the road. You aim for the apex, right? So this part of the corner, and then as you exit, you go there. Now, here's the thing, right? You want to make sure that you slow down before you get here, right? This is where you slow down and you shed all your speed, either by braking or letting go of the throttle, depending on the speed and depending on how sharp the corner is. Once you get to this situation, right, where you start to lean the bike, so counter steering, head, body, and turn the bike. Once you start turning, do not touch the brakes. That's it. You're off the brakes. After that line, I don't want you on the brakes at all. And then steady throttle. Don't give it more, don't give it less. Just stay where you are. You slow down, that's your speed, that's it. Hold on the throttle and do not let go. Stay steady. Again, counter steering, head, body, bike, right? You lean, you go through the corner, and then when you reach to this point over here, when you're on the outside again, that's when you want to start rolling the throttle again, right? Rolling on the throttle again. Don't go bananas, right? Don't go trying to pull a wheelie or whatever, right? Because if the bike is not completely straight, then that's when you do a low side or a high side, right? And you're flying off the road. Not good. Do not do that, right? Now, what happens if you start accelerating on this point, right? In the middle of the corner? Well, because of the physics that I explained to you at the beginning, right, when we were talking about counter steering, the bike will go up, right? If you're leaning and you're in the middle of the corner and you accelerate, the bike will just stand up. It will go straight. So imagine if you're leaning, start going into the accelerator, boom, you're off the road again. Not good. So be steady with the throttle, right? Once you have that speed, you want to keep that speed, be steady throughout the corner, and it is at this point when you see the exit, the bike is almost, if not completely upright again, and that's when you want to start rolling on the throttle, not going all full bananas, right? So roll on the throttle, be gentle, and then you exit and you pick up your speed back again. So again, that's the racing line basically, but the safest way to take a corner, the funnest way, right? Because if you're scared for your life every time you take a corner because you are going too hard, you're all stiff and you're leaning your bike, you don't have the body on the outside, right? On the inside of the corner, and you're at the limit, it's going to be scary. Sure, an adrenaline rush, right? But you're not going to be able to do it safely and have a good time. So most likely that's going to end up putting you off, if not taking you off the road, right? Off you go, safe, and you're having a lot of fun. So That's my recommendation. So now that you have all the concepts about body position, counter steering, the racing line, how to take a corner, the last piece of the puzzle coming at number 2 is target fixation. This one is difficult to explain, difficult to practice, but it's something that you have to have in mind, or at least on the back of your head when you're riding your motorcycle. And it's very important because it says that you're taking a left turn, right? Again, we counter steering, we lean, we have the body, right? We're going left. And again, as you can see, immediately I start looking to the left, right? But if we are not leaned enough, right? And the bike is running wide, riding wide, right? And then you start looking at what's on that side, is the guardrail or there's a car or something like that, and start looking at that way, you're going to go that way, right? And nothing is going to stop you. So if you run into a situation like that, never look at the object or never look at the obstacle. Always look where you want to go. Do not fixate on the target, right? And it's difficult, and I've done it myself, right? And I caught myself in time where you're running, right? You're taking a turn and you see the car coming, and then you look at the car, right? So, hey, it's coming into my lane or whatever it is. Do not look at the car, because if you're looking at the car, you know, you're not there, you're going that way, right? So you're looking at the car, and the bike is getting up, right? You're not leaning the bike. So make sure that when you're riding, you're focused and you're looking where you want to go. If there's something in the middle, right, you try to look ahead, right? That's another tip there for you, is always look ahead. Never look down. Obviously, that's a given, right? You're going to get this in 2 seconds if you start looking at the road. Target fixation is mostly on corners, but you're looking somewhere else that is not the direction that you want to go, right? And that might get you into trouble very quickly, right? Again, the perfect example is the corner, right, where you want to see where you want to go and not the obstacle going the other way around, or the guardrail or whatever, right? So make sure that you're focusing in where you want to go. And again, counter steering, head, body position, we go and you start looking that way. I want to go not down, I want to go look in further into the corner, right? See where I'm going. So I'm on the outside, now I'm on the inside of the corner, then coming out of the corner, rolling on the throttle, I'm off, right? Safest way possible. But if I'm on the middle of the corner and then I go like, oh, what's that? You know, I'm going that direction. So be careful with that. Do not fixate on any targets, right? And have that in the back of your mind, because if you start doing it naturally, have that reaction of, oh, Jesus, I'm doing target fixation, go back to the rate, and maybe you can save it in time, right? So have that in mind. Last tip at number 1, and probably one of the most important ones, and I'm going to break it down into 2 so it doesn't sound too patronizing, right? So the first one is practice, practice, practice. Something that I've done myself, and I also done with the wifey, is go out, grab a road that is not too busy, right? On a Saturday morning, Sunday morning, something like that, wide road, probably half an hour, 40 minutes, and go up and down. Take it easy. Don't try to beat lap record. I'm talking about practice. I'm talking about being comfortable with the corners, about the movement, about leaning the bike, counter steering, all that kind of jazz, right? Make sure that you get familiar with the road, you know exactly what's coming, especially if you can find a road that doesn't have intersections, cars coming, stuff like that. That is the perfect thing. You gain a lot of confidence and you get to know the bike, the feeling, what the bike likes, what it doesn't like, and then you start playing and adjusting a little bit, right? When you get out of a corner, rolling on the throttle, can you give it a little bit more? Try to get it fun. Try to go out there and practice, practice, practice. Same road, up and down, go back and forth, do it 2 times, do it 3 times, whatever you have time for, but keep it on the same road. If you go out exploring, it's a lot of fun. It's fantastic. You will be, kind of reacting to the road as it comes, right? And eventually you have to get there. But if you're a new rider, having that piece of road, we used to do it again with the wifey all the time. Go out there Sunday morning or Saturday morning, whatever it is, no traffic, go up and down. She will follow me, I'll follow her, I'll give her tips and everything, right? And that was fantastic. She had a lot of fun, I had a lot of fun. It was great. And that will give you a lot of confidence. Trust me, you'll really enjoy it at the end of the day, right? And then lastly, and again, I joined this one into the practice target because again, I know if I start with this one, although it is the most important one in my opinion, if I started with that one, it might be a little bit too much on your face, but gear. always wear your gear, right? I don't care how hot it is, I don't care how cold it is, I don't care where you live, if you're going to work, whatever it is, there's no excuses. Now these days, gear, it has gotten a lot cheaper. You can get pretty good gear for not a lot of money, and you have to get the basics. Helmet, to me, in my opinion, non-negotiable. You have to wear a helmet at all times. I don't care where you're going, always have your helmet on. So helmet, non-negotiable. Jacket, to me, very important. If it is very hot, I've ridden in 40 degrees Celsius weather or 100 Fahrenheit, whatever it is. Yes, sure, it can get a little bit too warm or whatever, right? But there is gear where you can get your back protection, your shoulders and elbow protection, right? On a mesh, and don't have the jacket. So having that protection, very important. Gloves. People underestimate the importance of gloves. If you were to fall off at any speeds, at any time, what do humans being do? You go out with the hands, right? And this type of stuff, this is 40 grit sandpaper. So if you don't have gloves with a little bit of leather or something, you know, to slide, your hands are gone, right? Your skin is absolutely gone, and it will take weeks and weeks, if not months, to recover, right? And it's very painful. I haven't done it on a motorcycle, but I've done it on skateboards and stuff like that, sliding on asphalt, not fun, right? And again, I lost, you know, this part of the thumb, and it's horrible, right? So imagine doing that at 60, 40, 80, 100 kilometers an hour, right? If you fall, you go with your hands, right? That's the first thing you do. Gloves, I would say, almost as important as the helmet, being helmet undisputed #1, right? And then pants, boots, right? Even if you're going to work, I commuted to work for 4 years, and I got a couple of jeans that were Kevlar reinforced and whatever, right? They didn't look like motorcycle jeans, but they had all the protection and everything, and I was able to walk around, and a lot of people never realized that I was actually wearing motorcycle gear, right? Boots, you can get at least riding shoes, right, that they will offer some type of protection. They're not going to be as good as boots, right? Especially, you know, when they're high rise and they're stiffer boots. The safer the gear is, the more uncomfortable it is to wear, but at least if you can compromise and have at least gear, right, some boots, pants, jacket, very important, back protector, right, very important. So again, I don't care where you're going, I don't care how hot it is, whatever, always wear your gear. And you can see why I left this one for the end, because a lot of people is going to go like, meh, you know. So if I started that, you know, being the most important point on the whole video, probably people will shutting off the whole thing. So there you have it. Those are my 10 best tips that I can give you, right? My personal tips for you new riders out there, so you can actually ride safer, have more fun, and come back home in one piece, which is for me the most important, right? Like always, like and subscribe. Give me a comment down below if you have any questions, or if you have any comments, any other recommendations for other riders out there, right? Obviously, I couldn't have 1,000 million recommendations. I might do another video in the future if you guys enjoy this one, with more tips and tricks, right, that I can think of to make your life a little bit easier. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you folks on the next one. Thanks.